Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today's video is another day in the life thrift with me, so we are on our way. The first stop was a clothing store because we resell clothing. John was actually filming a video that day as well, so I thought it was funny that I was filming him filming, but we are the first people here at this clothing store. It's one of our chain thrift stores that we go to buy clothing, and we were the very first people here. Completely empty parking lot, and the workers actually let us in a little bit early, which I thought was really nice. It was only like 5 minutes, but still, we were just standing outside because the car was really warm. And I'm very excited because this thrift store actually just recently got shopping carts. Before, they were just baskets that you kind of had to kick around with your feet. And because we buy so much clothing, it's very nice that we can just fill up the cart. This clothing one is huge. We don't come here very often because it's about an hour away from us, but we have had a lot of good luck in this store. So then next we went to one of my favorite thrift stores, which I actually filmed an entire video separate, which was my last video because it was a lot of footage that I took in there. So if you missed that, I can link that below. But that was our first stop after the clothing store. So next we went to a consignment shop, which this store is really hit or miss. It's mostly clothing in there, and because it's a consignment shop, it's not the greatest for buying clothing to resell, but they do have other things in there as well. In the past, like maybe 5 or so years ago, I used to find a lot of vintage items in here. I don't find quite as many vintage items, but I'm not sure if I've ever filmed in here, so I thought I could take you along with me while I was thrifting. I did end up getting a few things. At the very end of the video, I show you everything that I bought. I thought that was cute, the Wonder Woman. And then I noticed this, that the brand's called Nostalgia. They make retro style appliances, which I thought was cool. I've never seen one in a thrift store, but this one's for hot dogs. You put the hot dogs in and then the buns in the side pieces there. I don't know. I probably wouldn't buy a used appliance like that though. They do make a lot of really cute retro style appliances though. I thought that blender was kind of retro-ish looking, but I don't think it was meant to be. It was mostly in my head. On this particular day, I was looking for a lamp shade, so I was on the hunt for that. They didn't have anything in here that was good or what I needed. I was looking for a drum shade, and I thought maybe this one would work, but it was way too big. And for a brief moment, I was like, no, I think it could work, but it would have been huge on the lamp. So I'm glad that I didn't get that. Later in the video, I do end up finding the perfect lampshade, which I'm so happy about. I've been looking for a while. So they have this big section with baskets and these cube shelving, or I guess it's not just baskets, but it's mostly baskets. And then, like I said, it's a lot of clothing in the store. It's mostly what it is, but they do have these racks kind of in the middle with, other stuff. We call them hard goods. So I've been looking for a picture, and I did notice that they had a few. I really liked this one with the green top on it. I've been looking for one with a top on it, and it's also made of glass, which is what I'm also looking for. It was $6, so I was undecided about whether I thought it was worth it or not. This store at times can be a jumbled mess. I understand though, because I used to work in a thrift store that was also a consignment store, and sometimes you just have a lot of merchandise and not enough space, so you kind of just have to pile it in and hope for the best. This store, I do know, has 50% off sales, I think, every month, at the end of the month, to try and clear out old stuff. So I mean, I guess that's good, but they definitely had a lot of stuff today. I noticed that they had those Olympic glasses. I think I've talked about them before. I think they were just in Canada, but I think it was from the 1988 Olympics or something. Yeah, I think 88. You could buy them at a gas station. So my parents had a whole bunch, but I see them all the time. I was going to try and look at all of these platters, but then I realized it would be really hard to do one-handed, and they were really heavy, so I just moved on from that. I noticed this, I'm pretty sure this is glass bake, and I don't know the pattern, but I've been seeing this pattern a lot lately. I actually do like the pattern, but I just have so much Pyrex and Fire King right now that I feel like I don't have any more room to display any, and I don't want to just have some like tucked away in a cupboard, so I'm trying to think about like maybe just collecting a couple of patterns, and then that way I can like limit myself. And then I did notice that they had some Corningware. The name is like not coming to me right now, but I think it's their most popular blue cornflower, I think. It's their most popular pattern, I believe. And then the second, oh, and here's another glass bake down there. I didn't remember that. And then we've kind of entered the like knick-knack section, I guess you could call it, with just a bunch of random kind of things. I was briefly considering whether or not I should buy this to resell, but I decided not to. There's just a lot of random figurines, it seems, here, but then I did notice these really cute candle holders with like pumpkins on them. I thought they would be really cute for fall, but I ended up not getting them. Although now that I'm looking at them, I'm like, oh, maybe I should have. They also had this pumpkin here. I'm so excited for fall. I can't wait. I'm not really a summer person. The heat really bothers me a lot. I get a lot of migraines, so I'm always kind of dreading summer, to be honest. And pretty much as soon as like July comes, I'm already thinking about fall. So I've been so excited. I saw this that like walnut, I think it's supposed to be, and I actually really love it, and I kind of regret not getting it. I think it was $8, but I think it would be, speaking of fall, I feel like my house, because it's kind of 70s, so we've got a lot of orange and brown, it's like already just fall vibes all the time. But I feel like that would have fit in really well with my decor. So I'm thinking I'm going to be in this area again, like relatively soon, like next week, I think. So I might like pop in again and see if it's still there. But it just kind of opens up. You can keep like random stuff in there, I guess. So moving on from that, we're past the shelves now. They do have a lot of pictures in here and like wall art and things like that. That was just kind of like the scratching the surface there. But over in this corner is where John was, and he had really good luck on this day. In fact, a lot of what he bought that day already resold, like very quickly within just a couple of days. So it's always nice when that happens. So he was kind of over in the corner looking at like kind of games and media and stuff. And then I noticed this mirror that I really, really liked a lot. So it was actually a set, the mirror and then the other piece there for $20. I really thought the mirror would be nice in the entryway, and I guess the kind of rack would be as well, but I felt like the rack was maybe a bit too big for my entryway. I also prefer to have the coats just hanging in the closet, so it wouldn't have really like been serving a purpose either. I was briefly thinking like maybe I should just get it and just not use the rack part, but ultimately I ended up not getting it. I almost like tripped as well while I was doing this. I must have spent over 10 minutes just debating this as well. Like I ended up turning the camera off because I was just standing there thinking about it and going over different possibilities in my head. So anyway, when we come back here, they do have like this section with crafts that was kind of right next to it, but then they have a bunch more pictures leaning against the wall and a bunch more hanging on the wall. I don't know that I've ever really seen anything that I've liked enough to buy in here, but I saw this little hanging thing. It kind of reminded me of like macrame, but it was not quite macrame. But I thought it was really nice, and I was debating getting this as well, but I was trying to think of where I could put it. And ultimately I couldn't think of a place where I could put it, so I just passed on it. Although the only place I was thinking was the very top of the stairs. But anyway, like I said, there's lots of media and stuff over here. John was having a really good time over here. He was finding so much stuff. Sometimes we'll find like DVDs. And I noticed that they had TV shows here. I noticed I Love Lucy, so I checked. We keep like a list on our phones to like keep track of what we already have, because I'm missing I think 1 or 2 seasons of I Love Lucy. That ended up being a season I already had. I did see a season of Growing Pains, which I haven't seen this show in such a long time, but I used to enjoy watching it. But I felt like $12 was more than I wanted to pay for it, just because I usually find seasons of TV shows for $6 at Value Village. I feel like that's more reasonable. If it was something like I really, really wanted, I would probably pay the money for it, but I didn't want it that bad. I saw a season of Murder, She Wrote, which I also love that show. I haven't seen it like since it was on TV, probably, but that gave me like cozy fall vibes. I was just picturing watching that in my living room on my old TV, and it was a whole vibe. I also seen The Jetsons, which I loved The Jetsons when I was a kid, but I didn't feel like it was worth buying for that much money, even though it's not that much, but I didn't have a strong enough desire for it. So John, they have like kind of toys over here and board games as well, and he found a bunch of toys that he was able to resell, so I just thought I would do a brief little look. I saw this board game that looked kind of vintage and interesting, but we have so many right now that I just organized them all again, and I don't feel like we need any more for the time being. They also do have books here. Books is probably the thing that I've bought the most here, because sometimes you can find newer books because people are, it's a consignment store, so people buy a book, read it, and then they probably take it in for consignment. So then after we got done that, we stopped at Burger King for an Impossible Whopper, because that's like my new obsession lately. We don't have a Burger King like where we live, so it's not like we can go there very often, so usually we take the opportunity. So then we went to Value Village. So we had something to eat before Value Village, because usually we're in Value Village for several hours, so we like to go through everything. I did, my phone was dying in here, so I tried to just keep it to like things that I thought were interesting. Not that this is exactly interesting, but I didn't realize my phone was going to die at this point. So I really enjoy looking at the kind of furniture area, just because you never know what you might find in there, or might see something could be like very old and retro, and most thrift stores I go to aren't big enough to hold a ton of furniture, if any furniture, so getting to go in Value Village and just see a lot is always exciting for me. So I did notice this old school school desk, which we have been seeing so many of these lately. It's the weirdest thing, and that was painted green. I was looking at this table that looked in extremely rough condition, and it wasn't exactly cheap, although it probably is made from real wood, so if you knew how to refinish it or something, maybe it would be worth it. I noticed they had a couple of like really big headboards. This one I think I've mentioned before. I think my parents had, or they probably still have, the exact same one, but this one was really large too, but not vintage, but the other one is vintage. And then coming around the corner, they had this Casio keyboard, and then they had the dresser to match I don't know why I keep calling it headboard. I'm just realizing the other one was a headboard, but the other one was just like the top piece to the dresser. Anyway, but then I noticed this other one over there, which might have gone to that dresser, I'm not sure. Then I noticed this vintage end table. I was going to call it an octagon, but I realized it's actually only 6 sides, and I don't know what the word for that is right now. But that's just like the one that my grandma gave me, just a little bit different. And then, of course, I was looking at the lamps in the lighting area, hoping that I was going to find a lamp. I saw another drum shade, but I realized again, I think that it would be just a little bit too big. So I was feeling discouraged at this point because I'd already looked at several thrift stores and not found one. And I was thinking, oh, I'm definitely going to find one today. But I did end up finding one, so it all worked out. But I was definitely feeling discouraged at this point. I'd realized my camera was going to die, so I turned it off, but I did see this really cool typewriter. I just loved the color of it. I thought it was very cool. It would be a great display piece. It was only $25, which I thought wasn't too bad. So I just wanted to show you that, I guess. I also saw this fish clock that I almost ended up knocking over, but I luckily caught it in time. I thought it was cool. It was kind of like an iridescent finish to it. I like how they always group the clocks together. That's one thing I will say about Value Village. It gets a lot of hate for its pricing, but I do appreciate that it is well organized. So if you are looking for something, you can go to that section versus a lot of thrift stores where everything is, like I just showed you in the consignment shop, everything is just kind of piled together. So yeah, I don't know. I also like that they have Christmas stuff out, not just at the holidays, at least in the ones that I go to. But like I've mentioned before, I feel like most of the Christmas stuff I see now is not vintage. It's like 90s or like early 2000s looking stuff, or just not my style. So I don't know. It's been a long time, I feel like, since I found something vintage Christmas just out in the wild. Having said that, I was debating whether or not I should get those Bacardi glasses. I did notice that there was only 3 and there was no price, meaning the 4th one probably got broke. And I feel like a set of 4 would be better than getting 3, so I ended up just passing on them. Also, I really don't need any more Christmas glasses. I just thought they looked cute, but then I was like, do you need these? You don't need these. In my last video, I was mentioning these dishes, saying I always see them, and here they are again. I did end up looking them up, and I think they're from the 80s or maybe 90s, but I think the pattern is called Christmas Pleasure. But I do see them everywhere. It's not really my style. Like, to me, it does look very 80s, maybe early 90s. But I guess, I don't know, it's just not my style. I think it's cute, but it's not my style. But these are the dishes that I have, but I definitely have enough. I don't think I need anything else unless I find some random piece, like maybe a butter dish or a gravy boat, or maybe I have the gravy boat now. I can't even remember because I just found so much stuff last year. I noticed these coffee mugs, and I think they might match the Christmas Pleasure dishes, or at least they look very similar, so they're trying to copy it if they're not from the actual thing. I also have these Bell glasses. I think my dishes are only from like the 90s, maybe early 2000s, but I just feel like the holly and berries is like a timeless pattern that will never go out of style, and it just gives me very festive feels. So I'm glad I ended up picking it up. I think I started that when I worked at the thrift store. I think somebody brought in a full like 4-piece set for $20. We were selling it, so I ended up buying it, and then someone else brought in like matching pieces to it. I think I got like the sugar bowl and the creamer, so that's kind of how it started. I think that was about 6 years ago. So we're back in the knickknack section here. I thought this raccoon was kind of cute, but then when I flipped it over and saw it was $5, I was like, whoa, that is not worth $5 at all. I mean, it's cute. If it was something I really wanted, I probably would pay the $5, but I don't know. I guess that's an example of how it's like a little bit pricey. I feel like in another thrift store that might be $2. And then out of the corner of my eye, I spotted the fourth glass that was missing, and so it was $4.99 for the set, so $1.25 each. So then I briefly had another moment of considering getting them, but ultimately I decided not to. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before, but one Christmas glass that I really, really want, that I would buy no matter what it cost, I think, if I found it, is they were made by Avon, I think in the 80s, but maybe even in the 70s, and they have Christmas trees on them, and the trees change color when you put liquid in them. I just love them. They give me so much nostalgia, and I want them so bad, but I've been looking for over 10 years for them. I've never seen them. I have seen them on eBay, but it's so expensive for shipping, like to get something shipped from the US to Canada, or even within Canada. It's like astronomical, really. Like I can't send a package next door to me for less than like $20, but more like 25. Something like the glasses would be like probably 30. And then I don't know what the odds are of that, but you see that little like walnut shell thing I found again. It was more expensive here, and I briefly thought about getting it again, but I didn't end up getting it. But like I said, if I'm going back to this area next week, so maybe I'll end up getting one. That one was like a different color, and then I've been talking about these church plates so much. And this one is actually from the town that I grew up in. And so I was considering getting it. And the church, I used to live by this church. It wasn't like a church I went to, but this church is also featured in this movie that was shot in that town in the 80s. So it was just so weird to see it. And so I mentioned, I think in another video, that I have a plate from the town I grew up in. It's not of a church though, it's of a hospital. It's the hospital that my mom grew up in. So then I was considering whether or not I should get the plate, because I have this other plate and I don't know what to do with it. And then I thought, well, if I get more, and then this caught my eye. I actually used to have this when I was a teenager in my bedroom. It's missing the base, but you put a candle inside. And it's from this company. I don't know if it still exists, but it was called Party Light Candles. And my mom used to sell it. It was like Tupperware, but it was a candle company. So my mom used to sell that in the 90s. I mentioned that she sold Tupperware before. She sold Tupperware as well in the 80s and 90s, but then she went to this candle company and did that for a while. So we had a bunch of that stuff, and I had that in my bedroom when I was a teenager, and I haven't seen it since. So it was kind of neat to see. And then I saw this little magazine rack that I really liked. So I wasn't sure about it though, but I thought I was sure enough that I didn't want to not put it in the cart, because then I would probably forget to go back and get it if I'll just get distracted. So I did end up getting it. I thought those plates were really cute. I actually thought they had a lot of cute dishes on this particular day. I love this stoneware pattern. I actually used to have it, and I think my parents had this one or one very similar to it as well in the 80s. I had a really big collection, but I sold it a few years ago, like maybe before I even started on YouTube. Another thing I almost never see anymore is cute vintage salt and pepper shakers. And I used to see so many all the time. But I think in the last couple of years, I haven't really found any. None that are coming to my mind anyway. Which is unfortunate, because I used to see them all the time. I thought this little dish was cute. I imagine like putting your rings in it or something if you're doing the dishes. I thought this plate was really cute for fall. It's obviously missing either a cup or maybe a small bowl or something, but I thought that was cute, but I didn't get it. Another thing I've been seeing a ton of lately are these wooden trays, like serving trays. I thought that one was cute, but I've already bought a couple of them, so I probably don't need to buy any more. I thought this was going to be made of glass, but it was actually made of plastic. Entering the kind of plastic thing, I noticed this Tim Hortons cup right away. So this is a takeout cup from Tim Hortons, which is like a big coffee chain in Canada, if you're unfamiliar. I think it is in a few other places now, but this one is from the 80s, and this is what it looked like the logo and stuff when I was a really small kid. So I was like, oh, I should see if that's worth anything. So we did end up getting that, and John put it up on eBay. It's missing the lid, but it's still worth like I think $18 or $19. So then I just thought I would have a look through the like thermos area, because I've been having pretty good luck finding thermoses lately. So I noticed this one, but I didn't end up getting it. It wasn't like what I thought it was going to be. But then I looked up and I noticed one of the Aladdin thermoses that sells fairly well for us was there. This one was $6.99, which is like a little bit on the high side, but I did end up getting it anyway. And then I noticed this serving, like speaking of wooden serving trays, I noticed this one, but I've never seen one before that had this top piece like that. I'm assuming like cheese cutting tools and things would hook into those little like opening spaces there, but I don't know, I've never seen one with that before. So then after we got done in Value Village, which was several hours, the grocery store here also has a little Starbucks kiosk. I mentioned before, we don't have Starbucks where we live either, so we don't get to have it very often, but we got some Starbucks, got that oat shaken espresso thing. I can't think of the exact name, but it's so good. I'm addicted to it. It's good that we don't have Starbucks near me, because I probably want to go there all the time. So then we just had a very small window of time before the Salvation Army's closed. So we drove really quick. Well, I mean, like we didn't speed, but we drove right to the Salvation Army after we left Starbucks, which is about a half hour away, I think. And I'm so happy that I stopped at this one. This is the one that's my least favorite, that I always talk about has like weird vibes. So I considered not stopping in it, so we had more time to stop in the other one. But I'm so glad we did, because I found the perfect lampshade. It's not in perfect condition, like it's a little bit, just from age. It's the material inside. It's almost like a plasticky material, but it's like very brittle from age. So, but it is the perfect shade. So I put this on a lamp that I recently got for, I don't know, I think it was like $5 at a yard sale. I can't even like keep track of how long ago things were, because time I feel like is flying by. Anyway, I saw it and I thought, I think this will work. I got home and I put it on, and it does. It's like perfect. It looks like it came with the lamp. So I'm so happy about that I finally got it. And that was only $5, I believe. So I'm so happy that we stopped in, because I was briefly, like I said, considering not. But I also found another amazing thing while we were in this store. So we did look super quick though. Just kind of did a really quick run through, because I really wanted to get to the other one, because it is much bigger and they have like a lot more stuff in there. So but this stop ended up paying off. So like I said, very happy we did. So they just had a couple of older looking nightstands there that I thought were cute. And then I always do like a quick little look through the linens. Not even really look. Well, look, but like I don't really move stuff around. And then from the other side, I noticed something caught my eye, and I loved this sheet. I thought it was really cute, very vintage, but something caught my eye from the other side, so I started digging around, and it ended up being these vintage Fox and the Hound sheets, a full set too, like the fitted sheet, the flat sheet, and the pillowcase. Sheets are probably my #1 seller in my Etsy shop, but I'm down to just one sheet. I think I have like a Holly Hobby sheet left, and I haven't been finding any vintage sheets lately, so I was just thinking earlier that day, I can't believe I'm not finding any sheets. It's been like months and months and months since I found some. And normally I would find some at Value Village, so I made sure to look through every single sheet at Value Village, but I didn't see any. So I'm super excited that I found those. I don't see any online for sale currently, so I'm very excited. It should be about like $60, $70, maybe even $80. I haven't done like a deep dive. I did notice that they had some different like Pyrex Fire King pieces. I'm not sure what that black one was, but I did like that. I'm not sure how long it's been since we have been here before, but I did notice that they still had that same Spice of Life pan pot thing there. Again, though, I feel like most everything here was like stuff that we've already seen before. So like I said, we were just doing a quick kind of look through anyway, but I didn't feel like there was many new things here to show you. I have been trying to take a good look at the thermos sections of thrift stores though, and I did notice this vintage from the 80s, like for a child. I think this size used to come with like a lunchbox, but it's for like pound puppies. I think it's 87, so I did grab that to resell as well. For furniture here, they just had these chairs. I'm pretty sure that they had this here the last time we were here, so I would have already showed you that. I did think this pattern was pretty groovy over, I don't know if it was like recovered or if that was the original one, but so we were racing to get to the other one before it closed. They had this sign Christmas in July on the door. I think they might have had it on the door, the other one. So I got excited, but they didn't have any Christmas stuff out. So I'm not really sure why they had Christmas in July sign on the door. I'm pretty sure this has been here the last few times we've been here, but nobody's bought it yet, but I love it so much. I think it goes to a swag lamp, but then I noticed this one, which I don't remember seeing last time I was here. I thought this was so pretty. I noticed I had this old, probably like 80s popcorn maker down there on the bottom shelf there. Lots of pictures. I really like that picture. I didn't notice it while I was in the store, but like that really big one there. And I noticed that no one has bought this toaster oven yet. That's really neat. That's like a top toaster, but also a toaster oven. If I didn't have a toaster oven, I feel like I would want that because I eat a lot of sourdough that comes in a long, kind of wide, like you'd need a wide slot to toast it in a regular toaster. They They had tons and tons of mason jars on this day. This whole shelf, that whole shelf was filled with them except for the top. I noticed that the little cookie jar was still there. No one had bought that. I thought it was cute. It doesn't really go with my kitchen or style, but I did think it was cute. I think these vintage pans might have been here previous, but no one's bought them. I think this little section was new, but they had a lot of coffee related things here. And then I noticed this coffee pot that was like milk glass. I don't think I've ever seen one that is milk glass. I guess this would be more of a coffee pot than a teapot, but I just thought that was interesting. I used to have this stoneware pattern as well that I really liked, but again, I sold it. And then I noticed they had this big stack of fondue plates. I actually have these really cool, like actual vintage from the 70s fondue plates that eventually we're gonna break out the fondue pot. I just need to be in the right mood, and I guess I just haven't been. But I'm excited to do it because I don't think I've ever had fondue or done fondue before, so it excites me. I have this fondue cookbook as well from the 70s, so I feel like I have all the parts to make a really cool 70s recipe, like vintage video. Maybe I will aim to do that in the fall. I feel like that's kind of a fun fall activity, maybe. So John was over there looking at the CDs. He's been collecting CDs again for the past, I don't know, like year or two. So I always loved this store, being able to look at all of the furniture. So I don't think they had this piece when we were here last. I'm kind of confused about like the side part. I don't know. It looks like an end table or like a nightstand, but I don't think I've seen it with the kind of other extra part like that before. They had this older style kitchen table that kitchen chair that looks like a lot similar to mine, but mine has chrome on it as well. And then I'm pretty sure this has been months and months now, but no one has bought this headboard, and I'm pretty sure it has the footboard as well. So I kind of like, then they had this massive headboard. It almost looked like medieval times. I wish that I had a place to put another bed, like, because I would totally get that headboard, but we have a queen size bed, so getting a vintage headboard, whatever, is pretty much out of the question, considering they didn't really have queen beds back then. I think that they had this chair the last time we were here. I don't remember, but I don't think they had this table. It's a nice big table if you have room for it. And then we're back to the beds. And then we've got this like half table, good for like an entryway or maybe like a hallway. And then since I had just found those other sheet sets, I was feeling really good. So I thought I better have a good look at the linens in this place as well. I didn't find anything though, but I'm so excited I found those other ones. And they're in really, really, really good condition. Like normally you don't find them in that great of condition because, you know, they've been used, but I'm guessing, and we were thinking, they've probably just been folded up in someone's linen closet for decades. And then, I don't know, maybe they moved into a home or something, or I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much on that, I guess, but they're in really great condition and I'm very happy that I found them. So we had been driving a lot that day. I had my nausea bands on for so long that they made this huge indent, and I was feeling super sick by the time we got home. So John made us a sub because it was also disgustingly hot. So John made us a sub, which required no cooking at all, which was nice. We turned on the AC and we were just watching a little bit of Frasier. I was like laying down because I felt so sick. And then it was only, like you can see, only a little after 7, but I just decided to go lay down in bed because I felt so sick. I had turned the air conditioner on as soon as we got home, and hours later, it was still like 25 degrees in the bedroom. But I've been using my fan that I got recently, like maybe a month ago now, for $6, and it works so well. I'm so happy that I bought it. It works better than any like a new fan I've recently purchased within the last 10 years. Like they all die after a year or two, and this one's probably 40 years old and it's still going strong. So Marley noticed that I was in bed and she came up with me, which was super cute. So yeah, I just decided to lay down because I was feeling so sick and nauseous still, and it was disgustingly hot, like I said. So I just decided to watch a little TV until I fell asleep. I actually only made it through like 1.5 episodes and I was falling asleep. So I was just watching some I Dream of Jeannie. And I was too sick to even like show you what I had bought. So I do this after this clip. All right, so it's the next morning. I definitely feel way better after getting a good night's sleep. So like I showed some things. I did find this amazing lampshade. Like I said, it's a little bit damaged, but that doesn't bother me that much. It fits the space so well. And then I've got my sheet set, which I'm super excited about. I got the thermos, also excited. It's not as worth as much as I thought it was, but it's still a cool piece to have in my shop. And then I also got that like brown Aladdin thermos that I've showed. I bought it a couple times before in videos, I think. But then I also found this really groovy Butler Aladdin thermos. I found that at the Consignment shop, I think. I can tell by the tag. I've never seen one like that before, but it looks super groovy. So I was excited to find that. I did find, like I said, we got the Tim Hortons cup. I did find a few VHS. I'd never heard of this movie before, but it looks like it could be really funny with Joe Pesci and Danny Glover in it. And then I found Speed 2. I've never seen Speed 2 before, but John and I were talking about Speed, like the original one, not too long ago. And then I did end up getting the plate at the very last minute. We were in the checkout and I thought about the plate and I just ran back to grab it. And I did end up also getting that pitcher. It's made of glass. I am glad I got that. And then also, like I said, I already got the magazine rack. Anyway, that is it for today's day in my life thrifting through video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you again really soon.